Thank you for joining us today with another interview. Our guest of honor today is Member of Parliament for West Vancouver, Sunshine Coast and Sea to Sky, Honorable Miss Pamela Goldsmith-Jones. Hi, Pam, and thank you for coming today.
Hi, Sherry. Great to be back.
Now, Pam, last time that you were in our, we interviewed you, you were just the candidate. You were one of the
Right.
candidates. Now that you're elected, tell me about your experience that you had throughout this election.
Throughout the election itself, well, as you know, it was a long one. It really, for us, was a 2-year process. And we have tried in that process to bring people together rather than to divide them, which I think is what ended up happening for candidates across the country, certainly for the Liberal Party. So it's very exciting to be forming government now. And I would say that the election process did a very good job of identifying key issues for people.
Yes,
so it was a good process.
Yeah, it was a historical election, really. I understand that you have a new position right now, and you have been appointed a Parliamentary Secretary of Minister of Foreign Affairs. Well, first of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
And tell me how did you find that out, and how do you feel?
Well, it's I'm very honored, very humbled. Working with Minister Stéphane Dion is truly an honor. I have a lot to learn from him, and I think a lot to contribute. How the process works really is that you get a call from the Prime Minister's office. I arrived, a few weeks ago. So on a Monday, I went straight to the Library of Parliament. It's a beautiful place and where I like to work. And I'd only been there for a few minutes before the phone rang. So I was whispering into the phone, hello. And it was somebody from the Prime Minister's office saying that the Prime Minister would like me to consider the position of Parliamentary Secretary to Foreign Affairs, which of course I accepted readily. And then that was announced publicly within 2 days, and we were sworn in within a week.
Yes.
And it's wonderful. There are 35 of us, or 36 of us, which form another strong team in support of our ministers and for our riding. It really is an excellent opportunity to advance our interests, and in my case, in foreign affairs, Canadians' interests abroad.
Exactly. Now, what responsibility comes with it?
Fundamentally, my job is to support the minister, and to that end, I will be in the House of Commons when he's traveling. So I will be speaking on his behalf and debating in question period on his behalf. As well, really, we're right now sort of just putting the team together, but I will have an assistant who works within the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So we're working out what subject area is crucial from the perspective of Western Canada, and a good fit there, which is obviously Asia Pacific, but also the North. NORAD, NATO, our interest in the North, glacier melts and how that is changing, how that affects shipping. There's an awful lot of interest that we share because, of course, we're coastal people.
Yeah.
And then there will be travel as well. He has a very, very demanding schedule, and as you can see by Catherine McKenna's leadership at the Paris talks, Canada will be taking a greater leadership role in the world with our partners, which means there'll be more pressure on Minister Dion and also on me.
On you, exactly. Now, I know that you spent your first week in the House of Commons. What was that like?
It's really an interesting place.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that all the members of the House of Commons are there for question period between 2 and 3 in the afternoon, and it is lively.
Yeah.
The new Speaker of the House, Jeff Regan, is doing a very good job to keep it civil and polite, and I think that that's evident. Although some of the heckling still, it is a distraction to the substantive questions. I think the opposition are raising excellent questions, and I think we're doing a good job of answering. And so that's exciting. The air quality in the building isn't that good. I think we need a health committee because I think it could be better.
Yeah.
And my eyes were watering, and I said to Diane Watts, who's a Conservative MP, who sits right across from me now, what did you find? And she says, yeah, same thing.
Yeah.
So I learned that in the Ottawa Valley, this is sort of minor, but it does affect, I think, our ability to do a good job.
Yeah.
It is in the top 3 places for allergens. So I'm not aware that I have any allergies,
Yeah.
but I have to say I found it hard on
On your experience there. I bet. Now, you talked about Paris, but let's talk about, I know that you said Canada played quite a good role and leadership role in, in different position, but they do also in the COP21. Let's talk about that, that happens in Paris. Now, can you explain a little bit for those who do not understand what COP21 is, and also tell me what's going to happen there and what will be happening?
Well, it is a conference. It's 21 because it's the 21st of
Century,
them.
yeah.
They meet regularly. You know that in Copenhagen in 2009, there were high hopes for the kinds of things that were pursued this time, and it didn't really go anywhere. In Rio back, it was the beginning of these discussions. But this time, it seems like there was a concerted effort on behalf of 195 nations in the world to start to address what a carbon-constrained future looks like, and how do we incentivize renewables, how do we be serious about reducing our GHG emissions, how do we partner, in Canada in particular, with leadership at the provincial level and municipal level. Our minister, Catherine McKenna, was thrown literally into the fray and did a tremendous job on our behalf of leading. She became a facilitator in terms of coming up with the final agreement. But the real work begins now.
Okay.
And it is going to mean the premiers working together with the federal government. And they're going to have some pretty intense discussions. But it's good that we are at last dealing in reality on this issue.
So it's just the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I know a few weeks ago, quite some, refugees came from Syria. What was that process and how that process happened? And, is that going to affect other refugees from other countries?
Well, the process has been really lauded internationally for what Canada has done. You saw on the television, you saw Minister McCallum in immigration, Minister Philpott in health, and Minister Sajjan in national defense working together. We have been asked this question over and over and over in the question period in the House of Commons to make sure that for the refugees, they are properly screened, their health is in good order, and they are ready to become working, engaged members of our society from the minute they land in Canada. The King of Jordan has been an extraordinary partner. We're set up in a hangar in Jordan, and that's going quite well. But if you can imagine 500 civil servants getting over there, getting systems in place that have never been put in place before, and now ramping up. I think the first week they were able to process 400 applications, and now we're up to 800 a day.
Wow.
And so, of course, they're starting to arrive in Canada.
And this is just from Syria. I mean, for refugees from Syria, or
yes, and it's more challenging in Turkey. So that is coming on stream now.
the next process. Yeah.
And the opposition has made a good point about how realistic are our targets. We wanted to make sure the proper system was in place in the first place, and I think what we'll see now is the target may actually expand, but the timeline is dictated to by doing this properly.
Yeah, and I saw a video that Prime Minister Justin Trudeau actually welcoming them. And he was there. He was present there, and it was very.
There. Minister Dion has done that as well as Minister of Foreign Affairs. David Johnston, the Governor General, has done that.
Yes.
It's a very proud time in our history, I believe.
Yes. Yeah. Now, I noticed that the debate in the House of Commons last few weeks was focused on removing CF-18 fighters' plans from the war to defeat ISIS. Now, how is Canada going to support that allies?
We are not withdrawing the CF-18s until our overall plan is ready to go. We believe that we can make the most meaningful contribution by pulling back there, but that means, or it goes together with enhancing our
Yes.
role with regard to cutting off the flow of money to ISIS, and we're working in collaboration with multiple agencies in the world in order to do that. We believe it's really important to continue training troops, and you saw last week that our training crew actually were involved in combat, so we are not shying away from that. We also feel that it's really important, once an area has been made safe, it won't be able to sustain itself without sewer, water, effective, trusted policing. These are the kinds of things that Canada has experience in and can contribute to, as well as governance at the smallest scale.
That's right.
So we are looking at a very multi-pronged approach. We're playing to our strengths, and we are not going to be precipitous about removing the CF-18s until that is clear and understood. So,
I see.
Yeah.
Now, last time that I interviewed you, we talked about reopening, Canadian Embassy in Tehran, Iran. Now that we are new government, how do you feel that this is going to happen, or if this is going to happen?
It's something that the government wishes to work toward. We are also at the same time making sure that we are clear about human rights violations in Iran.
Of course, yeah.
So we understand that the government of Iran does not necessarily represent the people or their best interests.
True.
But we're dealing with a bundle of contradictions. We know how difficult it is for people who are originally from Iran in Canada with the kind of sanctions that are in place and with the closure of the embassy. Canada, its previous government, took a path that was different from those of our allies.
I understand.
And so we are wishing to improve on that and work in greater alignment with our allies.
So we should hope for it.
It's something we are absolutely working on,
Okay.
yes.
Yes. Now, how do you, as a member of a parliament, can help newcomers to Canada, especially in your area?
Well, that's a large part of anybody's constituency office. In our case, Deanna Regan is our full-time staff. She's working from home right now because our office won't be open until January. But people are, of course, welcome to call her. And she is doing a great job of getting that set up. We have really good lines of communications with different departments, but particularly if it's immigration, Minister McCallum's office. If this is more of a question to do with a Canadian citizen abroad who has any kind of challenge, then that's my counterpart, the other parliamentary secretary, Omar Al-Gabra. He is dealing with consular affairs. So from the perspective of those issues, it's an asset.
Yes.
That I'm a parliamentary secretary in foreign affairs and developing those relationships which can be put to good use for our community.
Perfect. Now, with your new responsibilities, how do you plan to, on ensuring work in your writing, and keeping connected to your division here?
Yeah, that's a really good question because foreign affairs is going to take me in a new and broader direction. So we are opening our office in Horseshoe Bay in January. We have 3 staff hired here. Lucy McKiernan is focusing on the Sunshine Coast. Deanna Regan is focusing on the case files, as you mentioned, and also being available to the Squamish, Whistler, the Sea to Sky corridor. And Stephanie Kiernan, who I've worked with for years, is going to be overseeing all of that. And so we're intending to provide first-class response. It's going to be open, we hope, 6 days a week to work with people's schedules. And when I'm in Ottawa, you'll also get to know Sarah McDonald, who's the staff person there. As well, as a parliamentary secretary, I have a dedicated person in foreign affairs. So I think we've got things pretty well covered, but please make sure you offer your ideas and constructive criticism because we're learning as we go, but we believe we've got a great approach for staying connected throughout the riding.
Oh, yeah. Now, you said that you're opening your office. Where about?
It's on Bruce Street in Horseshoe Bay.
I see.
Right now they're putting in new floors and painting the walls, and we feel that it's central in the riding. That way you could be a foot passenger from the Sunshine Coast. It's a shorter drive if you're coming from Squamish or Whistler. It's right near the bus stop, and of course there's plenty of free parking. So that's I realize we're not central in West Vancouver, but we are definitely central in the riding, and you won't have to worry about where you can park your car.
But you won't be there all the time because with your new responsibilities and all the stuff that you have to do.
That's right. I should be here 1 week out of every month, and weekends in between. But also our staff are there to serve you, and we are in constant contact. We have, so I think it'll be fine.
Yes.
And I really think it's great to be part of the cabinet and parliamentary secretary team in Ottawa that allows us to be particularly effective.
Now, Pam, how can a Canadian Iranian community get involved?
Well, we are going to be holding our opening our constituency office on January 14th in the late afternoon, and you will see that well advertised. We would welcome everybody to come. At that time, we'll have opportunities for people to volunteer or different working groups to get involved in, and also take your ideas for what you would like to see. This is a great way,
Yes,
obviously,
one of
to
the
communicate
quick ways, yeah.
with people. And we'll have to start planning for Nowruz. Maybe we want to do something a little different than
Yes,
been done before.
Nowruz coming and everything else with it comes too. So
Yeah. So we're wide open to your suggestions as always.
Perfect. Thank you. Now, do you have any message to our audiences?
Well, I would certainly like to thank the community for its support in this election, and I would like to say, particularly to the Iranian-Canadian community, I have seen an outpouring of support for the Syrian refugees.
Yes.
This time in our history has brought us together and demonstrated that, above all, we are all Canadians, and we all respect the country that has given us such great opportunity. We have that in common, and I'd like to keep pursuing the common ground.
Yes, yeah. Well, Pam, thank you so much for coming to our studio again, and I'm looking forward for more interviews and new progress in our new government.
Thank you very much, Sherry. Pleasure.
Thank you. Well, here you have it, folks. You may email your questions to info@parvasfilm.com. Thank you for watching. My name is Sherry Solsani from Parvas TV.